Can you use gold and silver as a savings account like you would a bank? Put money aside for a rainy day and then when you need it, it's there. Yes, you can. Doesn't come without its risks though. So let's do a deep dive into the practicalities and the possibilities of using all of these wonderful shiny things as a savings account alternative. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. Today I want to ask the question, can you use gold, silver, or even platinum as a savings account, like a bank, but better because you take that money out the system, you're in control of it. That's what it's meant to be all about, isn't it? But is it practical? Is it possible? Is it easy to do? Are there some pitfalls? Well, I'm sure there are, and we're going to talk about all of that and more in this video. And I'd love to know what you think down in that comments section as we go throughout the video, so please do feel free to comment, and if you're enjoying our video, don't forget to like. Now, using gold and silver as a savings account is something that I personally do, and I think it's a very good way to save money. Is it the best way to save money? No. There are inevitably going to be other ways that you can put money aside for a rainy day that have less potential downside. If you are in a position where the long term is a factor and you can put money aside for a long term, then I do feel that gold and silver act as a better vessel than just simply putting money in a bank account. There is no doubt with the levels of inflation that are currently happening in this world that just leaving money in a bank account is not great. You can get some decent savings accounts right now, about what is it, 4%, something like 4.5% if you're lucky, if you lock it up for a year. But over a year, you're going to lose more than that in just the inflation of the currency. However, in a short term, I do feel that gold and silver act as quite a little bit more of a potential liability. They also have the potential for upside, don't get me wrong, but when you have money in a bank, you're just hedging the bets down the middle, aren't you? So if you put money aside and then you might need it in a couple of weeks or a couple of months' time, that money is going to be basically exactly the same, minus a tiny little bit of inflation that's happened, but generally speaking, it will be pretty much exactly the same. Gold and silver, though, they can change quite quickly. Silver a lot more so than gold, of course, and therein lies the problem, that it can be quite a big shift, and you might then be looking at having quite a lot of cash that is essentially lost. You know, you're getting less out at the other end than you put in. So, is it practical to use silver and gold? Now, being your own bank and having the silver and gold in your possession is, in my opinion, one of the only real ways to invest in gold and silver. Otherwise, you might as well just have money in a bank. If you put money into a index tracker that tracks gold and silver price, or one of these vaulted companies that has sold you the illusion that you own the gold and it's in a vault somewhere in Switzerland, then it's not really actually that practical. It's no different to a bank in my opinion, and it's just got the volatility. If you've got this stuff here as a savings account for the long term, then you don't have to necessarily sell it straight away. If you needed the cash, you perhaps have other things that you can sell first, or other savings that you can use first. You know, if you're just speculating on the price of the metal, then you're not really using it as a savings account. That's my thinking. And physically owning this stuff is different to just having it as numbers on a screen tracking spot price. You've got to pay a premium, of course, to have the physical stuff in your possession, more so on silver, and you've got to factor in shipping costs if you're buying from a dealer online, for example, or if you're just having it in person from a local coin store, then fine, you're saving money on the postage, but you're still having to pay a premium on some of the silver or gold that you're buying. So it's kind of like, if you're saving in a short-term scenario, it's like putting £10 in the bank or $10 in the bank, but that is actually cost you 11. So you've actually only got really $9 sort of in play, so to speak. It's cost you 1. So let's say you put 10 in and only 9 hits your account. You know, it's one of those things. Now, can you get 10 back out of it at the other end? Arguably, yes, you can from gold and silver. The premium that is attached to this stuff, remember, when you've bought it, you're paying the premium. Someone else will also pay the premium. The only difference is convenience about how and where you would sell it. If you are going back to a dealer, they've got to, of course, make their end on it. They've got to retail it up further. I heard a very interesting little part of a video from Silver Seeker, an incredible silver YouTuber with 130 odd thousand subscribers, really, really talented chap, and he talked to a pawn shop broker who offered, a hypothetical situation, $17 an ounce to buy the silver off somebody. But he said he would only do that if it was an emergency. And in fact, he was talking the guy out of it. He was talking Silver Seeker out of it. It was not something that you would want to do. So you can see there is definitely a shift if you've got that there. But the point here is if you put some work in and you have actually got some research done properly, your exit strategies, that's what I've been harping on about for the last God knows how many years here on YouTube, plan how you're going to get out of it, then you'll be much safer about your sort of liabilities in that respect. Now, if you are wanting to use gold and silver as a savings mechanism, savings account for a shorter term, there is only really one option, and in my opinion, that is gold. It is much less volatile. It is much more liquid in terms of just being able to sell it quickly for a smaller price close to spot, and it's just generally a better metal, in my opinion. The last thing to say is platinum is probably the worst option for a short-term savings, option. It's just so difficult to sell. It's so inflated in terms of premium. It's undervalued, arguably, but it's also overvalued, arguably, because it's just so useless as a commodity right now, and it's not a monetary metal. So, yeah, from my perspective, silver is okay, but you have to put a lot of work into it. Gold is a lot easier. And platinum, just no. Now, over the long term, that's where gold really does start to come into its own as a better savings mechanism. Now, of course, if you've got money, cash in a savings account, and you're getting very lucky and you're getting 4% a year, then that's great, but inflation currently at like 10, 11%, you're losing money every year, essentially. Now, arguably, if inflation comes down, you might be up on the deal and still get better than the value of the money there. But if I flip this Krugerrand, this quarter Krugerrand over, it's upside down, and I show you that I paid £251.52 for this back in March 2019 off the Silver Forum, TSF, that, if you do the maths, 251 times 4, because it's a quarter ounce, it's just over £1,006 basically, for an ounce of gold. Now that has been fantastic. Can you say that in 3.5, 4 years, well, it's actually just over 4 years now, could you say in 4 years that you could have grown £1,000 into £1,600 just with a bank savings account? As the answer is no. 4% on 1,000, and you weren't even getting 4% in 2019. Let me tell you, if you were very lucky. But 4% of £1,000 is 40. Multiply that by 4, it's 160. At best, you're getting 1,160. And I think this just demonstrates again where inflation has been, where it is probably going to stay, and how maybe I don't think I've got one with another sticker on here. Well, actually I do. Here we go. This was bought back in 2017 for £1,015. You can see again, whilst this is over a slightly longer period of time, because we've had some really weird things going on in the world recently in the last 3 years, it's still a good example that there's been this big old jump up. I don't believe I've got a new one here with a price on. No, I haven't. But, if you've got a £1,600 gold coin that you've just bought now, look and think where it might be in 3 years, 5 years. And ask yourself, is that any worse off than potentially a bank account would be? And I just can't see how any bank can beat gold and silver over a 2, 3, 4, 5 year period right now, certainly with inflation where it is. That said, the practicalities are about flexibility. If you overcommit to gold and silver as that savings vessel and you then need to sell, you're forced to sell, you're in trouble. That's where you lose out as a savings vessel. Of course, some people won't even want to bother selling, and that's absolutely fine. There are a lot of people in this world who will just be like, yeah, I'm never going to sell my gold or my silver. And that's absolutely fine. That's saving for a very long term, and I have no problems with that at all. But if you've only in that situation, though, if you've got the right protection for the short term. So, in summary, I do feel that gold and silver as a savings vessel are a viable option. If you're doing it over a shorter period of time and you don't know what might be happening in the wider economy for your gold or for your currency, then gold is probably better than silver and certainly a lot better than platinum. If you're over a medium or long term, it's definitely worth having, I think, some gold and silver. But do always make sure that you have a safety net, have some cash in the background. Whilst we, as stackers and collectors of gold and silver, might hate the idea of it, unfortunately the world revolves around fiat currencies. So it is what it is. I hope that makes sense. I'd love to know what you think down in the comment section. A massive thank you to my backyard bullion ramblers who have watched to the back end of my video. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion. If you have, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Otherwise, that's it from me. We'll see you on the next video. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.